T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Katrina from In Cat We Trust, but also one of the hosts and writers of Women's Wrestling Talk. And we are here on this Thursday a little bit earlier than normal because tomorrow's a crazy day. But we are here for this week's NXT episode. And I have with me the absolutely lovely, gorgeous, and fabulous Shay Sawyer. How are you today?
I am doing good. It's my off day, so I've been relaxing, and I'm just excited to talk about NXT because I actually enjoyed this episode. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's jump right in it. I know there was a lot of women's action, which was pretty cool to see. I think NXT usually is on point, with the women's action, but I believe we started off with Roxanne Perez and Indy Hartwell. So can you tell us, I guess, what happened in that matchup to start off NXT?
All right, so when I saw these two fighting, I'm like, okay, more than likely Roxanne is going to go over just because the Iron Survivor is coming up, and I feel like she's one of the top contenders in that, or she will be. Let's do that. So watching this, I really, really loved it. It was actually a really good opener, and I knew it would be. I feel like Indy maybe doesn't get as much credit for her in-ring. I think she keeps up very well just because she's not really a flashy wrestler. I think that it gets lost a lot. A lot of time throughout this match, they were definitely touching on the fact that, Indy's going through a turmoil within herself of if she wants to be the good guy and go by it the right way, or if she wants to, finally win. And for some wrestlers, a lot of times finally winning means releasing all of your moral, thoughts and everything like that. And I think Indy's going through that right now, and we'll see where it goes. But Roxanne ends up getting the win, and as she should.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I just mentioned this, I want to say like maybe 2 days ago, about Indy's journey as far as after leaving, when she was with Johnny Gargano and Candice and, Austin Theory. And then even with the relationship storyline with her and Dexter Lumis, we kind of in the beginning really didn't know where she was, like her path was in NXT, because I felt like they didn't know what to do. So it's kind of nice now to kind of see her getting more of her footing, getting more herself, and as far as getting more confident and comfortable in the ring. It's good to see. And, with Roxanne, Roxanne's Roxanne, and she came into WWE kind of already, like, eyes were on her because of what she did before getting into WWE. And so I thought it was a really good match. I thought, Roxanne, from what I clips and everything, Roxanne is Roxanne. I think the right person won. And again, I like Indy, and I'm glad Indy has been getting more wins in the last couple of weeks. I think again, I like that she's getting her footing and everything in NXT. But Roxanne, with the situation going into, you know, her thing with Mandy before and kind of being cheated out of her title, I feel like she's gonna go into, you know, go into the tournament like with a whole bunch of like energy, kind of the hope that she can get that back. And so definitely agree that I think the right person won for that. But I do like what we're seeing so far from Indy. I think they're really pushing her, and not too fast either. It's done in like a nice, consistent way. And so I'm like, okay, you guys, I see what y'all doing. And so I definitely like that so far. So it's pretty solid. So I believe the next matchup we had was Dante Chen versus I'm the Dijak. You probably know how to pronounce that better
Yeah,
than I.
it's like Dijak. Yeah, it's Dijak.
Okay, because you know, name's kind of complicated for me to pronounce. But can you tell us? I mean, I guess it's kind of good to see him back, considering everything with his, you know, character in WWE in the last year or two. And so, can you tell us a bit about that matchup?
So for this was like a basic squash match. Dante really got no type of offense. I think that, you know, I feel bad for Dante Chen and Guru Raj, because literally whenever they need to put somebody over, they phone me ringing. They're like, oh god, this is what they calling for again. Let me answer. Like, I feel so bad. I really want them to work on Dante, because I do think that, you know, he has potential. He just needs a lot of work character-wise, but he has potential. I just feel bad that every time I always see him whenever they want to put over a new person. I'm like, oh, poor Dante. But I think Dijak is in his right avenue right now. I think this is the most like himself he's been. Obviously, he's had to take some detours, but you know, he's here and he's Dijak, and Booker T did not say who this week, so that's good. So Dijak ends up winning, and I think that makes the most sense because it's clear he's going into a program with Wesley once he returns.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I do feel bad for Chen too, because I feel like the last time I saw him, it was legit the same type of like, okay, you're gonna be out here for very little, and that's it. And I mean, and it's unfortunate because I actually think that, you know, he has like a potential to really be something, especially when you have smaller wrestlers in NXT. That seems like that fits the NXT mold better, and I feel like he would, if they give him more of an opportunity to do so. But I feel like they keep using him for these matches, and it's unfortunate. I mean, he does it with a smile, and so power to him that he's not like really upset about it or anything. But it's like, oh man, like, all right, you know, like, damn, at least one where he's not like gets to list some offense, so it won't seem so bad. Yeah, I'm interested to see, I guess, what Dijak is gonna do next. You know, Booker T is Booker T, and I won't get into my thoughts about Booker T sometimes because, you know, he does shenanigans. Yeah, I think I do see the whole Wesley thing. Or who knows, maybe he might try to move his way on up. Like everybody else is doing that in NXT. They just decide they feel it's time to go right into, you know, main title picture. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm totally slack, guys. There's pictures. Totally slacked. Totally slacked. So he got his little moment right there. His little moment before it all came tumbling down. But yeah, oh, I spoke too soon. He got an extra moment. Look at him, little moments right there. I am interested to see. Here we go. I'm interested to see as far as what Dijak do, but I do think if everybody else can decide that they're going to be going for the title, then why not him? I feel like everybody else is doing those shenanigans. So, you know, what can you say? So I believe right after that there was a segment where Tony D'Angelo did find Dijak and, you know, said that he would make sure that Wesley would lose the title no matter what. And I was just like, but how did we just get to? I feel like that's such a extra place to get to. It's like, how did you involve yourself in that way that it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure for you. It's like, okay, calm down a bit. Wes didn't do nothing to you. Wes is minding his business and thriving. Like, let's.
You know what I think it is? I think he's looking for an enforcer, and so I think he's trying to get in good with Dijak. It could be.
You know, it might be. I feel because Dijak definitely has like power and hype to him, so he could definitely be somebody that might be helpful in a situation like that. Who knows? But sorry, my mic just got weird. Okay, and so after that, we had Duke Hudson with Chase University and versus Grayson Waller. And so I actually didn't really catch this match, but so can you tell us what happened in this matchup?
So what we're seeing is Duke slowly morphing into Andre Chase. His move set is changing into he even did the Hulk up thing that Andre Chase always does. Duke is a mole. I keep saying this, and I will keep saying it until he reveals himself. He is infiltrating into Chase U so he could take Andre Chase's position. But can I also point out how awesome Duke is? Because he's literally had so many different angles and like gimmicks and storylines, and he literally does his absolute best with all of them. I really have to appreciate someone who can roll with it no matter what. But he is a mole, and he is trying to take away Chase U from Andre. It is sick. And then he says, he has the audacity to say to Andre, see, I can stop from doing a big boot when I want to. And Andre just looking like, well, why didn't you do that last week when you big booted me in the face? But now you have so much control. Exactly. You know what's going to happen.
You want to go whole you want to go whole rant just now. But I agree. I do respect that he kind of rolls with the punches. It's like he doesn't not saying that sometimes you can't complain, because sometimes I feel like you need to complain. Sometimes stuff happens in wrestling and you'd be like, listen, let's put my foot down that we're not doing all of this. And so in his regard, I do appreciate that he really doesn't complain too much. He just kind of rules with, as you said. But I can see the whole I can kind of see the whole thing you said happening. I guess I can see how that can look in that way. But yeah, it seemed again. I do like to see Chase U more often. And I know Stephanie, who is not with us today, wish her safe travel. She's on her way to California. She loves them with regards to their whole team spirit and school spirit. And so yeah, I think I like that we're seeing more of Chase U do more in the matches, but I also like that they're kind of extending how they do like their storyline. I think it's pretty cool. Like I wasn't sure in the beginning when they first introduced us to them where they were gonna kind of like, is it gonna be like this gimmicky to the point where it's like, yay, school spirit all the time? And I like that they kind of dwelling more into their characters, and so that's pretty cool. I like that. So after that, after the match backstage, Grayson Waller did taunt Chase backstage, and Hudson promised to make him pay. And I felt there was a point, I guess, where this can be a longer feud going forward with this, because it was like you can. It seemed like there's a lot of animosity there, and I feel like this is not going to be one of those like one and done matches. Like clearly, there's some tension there. So I'm wondering if we're going to see something like a week or two if they're going to kind of keep going with this storyline. But so far, so good. So moving on along, the next matchup was another women's matchup between Kiana James and Fallon Henley, and so I did like that, even though Fallon was supposed to have like an injured arm, she still kind of was doing her thing in the match in the beginning. There was a lot of points where it seemed like she kind of had Kiana like even to the point like on the ropes, but it didn't last, I guess, as long as I wanted this to. This could have lasted with this matchup, and I guess it's kind of to get Kiana James more, I guess, comfortable in the ring, because she's getting more solo matches, good work in the ring. But Kiana was able to knock Fallon into the turnbuckle and hit her 401k, which I love, absolutely love the name of that move. I don't know why I love the name so much to that, but she hit that and did win. And I thought she improved from previous matches, and I thought Fallon truly sold. Like for the time that they were in the ring, I thought Fallon really kind of got her Alicia Fox on to an extent. You know, I think Alicia's like the queen of having a good sell. I did like there was a moment during this matchup. I think she did like a elbow and then like a double knee breaker, which I thought was pretty impressive. And I was like, okay, Kiana, you getting better there. You're getting better. So, what are your thoughts up on the match?
I love Kiana James. Like, the more I see her in the ring, I'm like, yeah, this girl's like basically what Wilson is saying. Kiana is a really good worker. I've been watching. I just been keeping an eye on her from main event, level up. She is a quick learner. She's very fluid in the ring. Like, she moves very well, and I absolutely love her finisher as well. The name, like, please. But she also has a great hold on her character as well. Like, she made sure to do that first, and then now she's just showing what she can provide in the ring, which is a great deal. Fallon as well. I'm not going to leave her out. She is, as Wilson said, very well advanced for where we're just starting. So I really, really enjoyed this match. And I just love how the women basically ruled the first hour of NXT. It was great. Like, the women, their matches just were hitting every time. So I absolutely loved it. I'm happy Kiana won. I knew that Kiana would win. I love both the girls, but just something about Kiana is just like, yeah, girl, you the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Fallon too, and I do think that Fallon is definitely getting again more time to kind of shine away from her group, because you know she's usually with her group, and I like that she's getting more time to shine. But I do like, I feel like Kiana can really be something if they do this right. And so like I'm hoping that, you know, they keep going with it. But I like what they've done so far with her. Again, I love her finisher name. And like, not that I care about 401ks or anything, but I do not like, you know, I'm not saying it's not important. It technically is important. You know, you got those jobs, you know, you're gonna make sure you good at the end of the day. So it is important, but I like that because she's supposed to be about like that, like that's the I think it's pretty cool considering how people feel about um you know 401k. I think it fits along with the character, so I actually like it. But I agree, they definitely do seem a lot more advanced, which is a good thing. I mean, yes, NXT is for the developmental section, but you also don't want to look too much like you're developing in the in the developmental section. And so I'm hoping, you know, to see where else these ladies going. But yeah, definitely the women definitely was doing their thing in NXT this week. So the next matchup we had was Axion versus Javier Bernal. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. This is actually pretty solid. I actually thought this was a really solid match. I thought Javier kind of put a lot of fight up during this matchup. I was actually like, okay, like, all right, you know, oops, sorry, wrong part. Let's go to the right picture. I thought Javier was like literally kind of given, and I like Axion. I think I love his moveset. Again, nice, quick, lucha style wrestling, and I appreciate that. But I felt like he's really, even with like coming down, you know, with his like promos coming back, that and everything, he's been doing well. However, you know, while the thing is kind of steady, kind of paced well and really quick, Axion did defeat Javier by pinfall. And so it did see, I did like also that Axion was kind of selling the knee, like the knee injury pretty well. Like it was like moments where you can see he was like selling it well in the ring, but he did pull off with the win anyway, which I thought was pretty cool. I thought it was a pretty solid match for the night. Again, I do like to see Axion, and I do think Javier is definitely trying to put himself back out on there. And so I feel like for coming from the women's matches, this is pretty high paced match. So it's pretty solid. So what are your thoughts about this matchup?
I loved it. I mean, like, Axiom, like, listen, I just want him to win everything. Just give him every title. I don't even care. He's so good. Like, I have such a respect for his in-ring work. Like, and I also have a respect for how many turtlenecks that he owns as well, because that's impressive to have that many turtlenecks all the time. My God. But it's okay. It's okay. I love this match though, and I love that Javier put up such a fight because I feel like they've been working the last few weeks to build, big body Javi as like a personality, and I feel like that's gotten across. He's been getting a lot of positive reaction for his backstage segments with Mackenzie Mitchell as well. Look at Wilson. Wilson gets it. See, Wilson just knows what I'm gonna say. Yeah, so basically, I'm glad we got to see him in the ring and he can show, listen, I can do it all. I think he is a full package. He just, obviously, he needs a little bit more time to really, really completely hone it. But he has character, he has looks, he has presence, and he has in-ring now. So it's like, we know what he can offer. So I'm just excited to see where he goes. And also, Axiom, to see him grow.
I agree. I mean, I was like, what's this comment about the segments being tall? I like Mackenzie. I think Mackenzie does handle the segments pretty well. But I like that they're trying to push them. And so who knows? I mean, you're saying it's tolerable. So I'm going to assume you don't really like him too much, Wilson. But I like what they're going with Javi. I think this could really be something if they keep it up. I feel like he's working really hard to kind of put himself over. And so, it might not be, such a bad thing with it, but we'll see. I like that they're both getting some time though. So there was supposed to be, I guess, a match with Toxic Attraction at the time, but Zoey Stark did attack Miss Nikkita. That's where the picture was in the wrong spot. But so before the matchup, Zoey Stark did attack Nikkita. And it seemed at the time that we might not have gotten, a match before that. But it seems like Zoey is doing a lot to kind of prove that she's just really not with Nikkita anymore. And so what was your thoughts on that little segment?
Now, Zoey, you doing too much. Because that girl was minding her business. She wasn't even, she was literally just walking to the ring, minding her business. She didn't bump into you. She didn't give you no stank looks. There was no reason for you to come out and do all that. It's so ridiculous. But I think Zoey is using Nikkita as a physical embodiment of her failures. She's upset things have not been going her way. And so she's going to blame it all on Nikkita. And I just hope that this match kind of helps Nikkita grow in ring wise. I think that it will, because I think Zoey is very good in the ring. And there's anybody who's going to bring the best out of you. Maybe Nikkita has that same type of thing where it's like, I feel like for Bron, he elevates depending on who he's wrestling. A lot of times I notice that with him. So maybe Nikkita can have that same effect with Nikkita, geez. How can she do it with herself? Nikkita can have the same effect with Zoey, and it can kind of take her somewhere, because that in-ring needs a lot of work. But I think she did it.
You're right about, listen. I know people like Nikkita. I know people go hard, but sis really needs to tune up some things, especially when I guess we get to it. But there's some things that she really needs to tune up, because I'm like, like you might need to go down to main event or something to get that. Just this, sometimes I'm like, ooh, this wasn't it. And I did see some. I guess we'll get into that when we get to the match later on. But I definitely agree that she definitely needs to tune up a little bit, because sometimes she does things and I'm just like, I guess, I mean, if y'all gonna keep pushing this girl, I do feel like they didn't push as hard anymore, which is good, because I'm like, she's clearly not ready yet. But we'll see. I feel like if she hopefully does better, it might be, better in the long run for her. So I know you happened to like this next matchup. I did see your comments on Twitter. But so the next matchup was JD McDonough versus Julius Creed, who was accompanied by Brutus Creed. And so Sangha and Vera did watch this matchup very closely. And it felt like JD was definitely more interested in the matchup, probably hurting Julie. I felt like he wanted to hurt Julius more than win the match. I felt like there was a lot of moments that he even used a chair or something, and then kind of helped in that situation. But it just seems like, you know, JD, he can wrestle. He's definitely somebody. I mean, he irks my soul because he really truly does irk my soul. He be doing too much sometimes, but he can wrestle. And so it was like, all right, well, why are you gonna do all this for, JD? Why are we gonna do all of this? I feel like the match, like while Julius did win the match by disqualification because JD was definitely doing the absolute most, I feel like, you know, in a way it also kind of protects Julius in a way where it doesn't like make his character look any less, even though JD was doing all that. So what were your thoughts about that match?
Oh my goodness, I almost died when I saw it was going to be them two, because they both are so athletic. It's disgusting. Julius did a the man did a suplex, but it was a stalled. He got on his knees and then he got back up with him. Is this man like 100 plus or even 200 pounds? This man, he just picks him up. And then let's not even talk about JD's gorgeous the moonsault. What can I say? My gosh, like these men, they're so good. Julius is 100% the future. I see it. No one can tell me different. No. And obviously JD as well. I kind of do like that they're making him go a little bit deeper with this whole I'm weird and I really like, you know, tendons and, you know, seeing how the body works. Like, I think it's cute for now because he's making it work. But he needs to be taken seriously. So not too many of this. I'll let it slide once or twice, but JD is a real deal, especially in that ring. He's a real deal. And I'm glad that they protected them both, as well as you said, because JD's going to be going into Iron Survivor. I was never in a thought where JD was not going to be involved. It just wouldn't make sense. And then Julius, he has his whole thing with Senga. I thought JD was going to die for 1 second when he hit Senga with that chair. I was like, you better run, JD. You're messing up my plans. Yes, my plans for him in this company, okay? So, yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I liked the finish.
Yeah, I again, JD be doing shenanigans because he really does, but he can wrestle, and so I do think that this, like, again, it doesn't really felt like their little feud right now is really finished because I felt like JD was doing the most during that I'm like, okay, this could really well, especially because it was like a disqualification that, you know, maybe after this iron, you know, there can still be something going on between them. I feel like it wasn't necessarily a finished match because of how it kind of laid out, but I agree with everything you said. Let's just quickly look at the I mean, see, I said main event and level up is even lower, so you know what, maybe so, because sometimes, like I said, she just not looking her best sometimes. But yeah, she is young. You're right. But the way they hyped her up, you would think like Roxanne hyped up, and Roxanne has proven. And so, just saying. But yeah, so after this matchup, there was a segment at where Bron Breakker met Apollo Crews at Apollo's favorite diner, and they talked about what the NXT championship meant to them and how they both felt, you know, why they would win. And this is actually a really interesting way they did this because it wasn't necessarily where it was face a heel. I felt like, while Apollo did annoy me that he put himself in the match before, and I was just like, this is not how this works, Apollo. You know, the other match he did win, rightfully. And so at least this time, you know, it's like, okay, I did win a match, and so I guess you got the title shot. But I like that it wasn't really like heel versus. I felt like both of them were very face in this little segment, and they both had some like really good points. And I'm like, you know, I don't think you're winning, Apollo. However, I respect what you're saying. I thought it was a really interesting, and I like that NXT has these little segments where it's like the barbershop segment, the diner segment, the like, oh, we're kind of out on the street, not the parking lot, because the parking lot seems to be detrimental to NXT superstars. This is like stuff always go down in the parking lot in NXT, but at least in the other areas of the world, when they're like not in the parking lot, they have really super dope segments. So, what was your thought about that segment?
I thought it was cool because I think Bron's the first person to pull up on Apollo, you know, so it kind of already shows that this is different from all of the, you know, feuds or things that, you know, Apollo has dealt with since he came back to, you know, NXT. This is the first person to come to his front door. You know, and obviously it's Bron, so it makes sense for it to be him. I think it's going to be a really good match, but I do think that Bron is going to win. So yeah.
Definitely agree. It's gonna Apollo can wrestle as well. Like I said, I was a little annoyed with his shenanigans, but he can wrestle. And so I do think it's gonna be a really solid match. And Braun has been doing well with different types of wrestlers. I feel like he's wrestled different styles that's not his, and he's done really well. And so it's not like some people look better with certain type of style. He looks pretty okay with like most of the different types of styles he's come across so far in championship matches. And so I'm definitely looking forward to it. So the next matchup was Ron Wagner versus Malik Blade. And so I felt like Malik tried like really hard. He did try. Like he went at him with a vengeance. But I was glad it wasn't like a necessarily regular squash match, because I would have been a little bit annoyed if they would have did that to me, knowing that I actually think Malik wrestles really really well. But unfortunately, I mean, I felt like there were moments where Malik was a bit faster than Ron Wagner, and unfortunately, being that Ron does have a bit size difference, he kind of used it. He tried, but Wagner did come out with the win in a pinfall. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. I don't really know what Ron Wagner is there for. Honestly, I was already annoyed, as I said. It's like he's there, so I'm okay, I guess. And I'm not really sure what his purpose is. And maybe somebody likes him, not me, but someone out there probably is a fan of Ron Wagner, just not me. And so I don't know what. I mean, I guess. And it's like he just has these random matches, even when he thought he was gonna be facing Braun with those shenanigans and the audacity. But but yeah, I'm not really. I don't know why Ron Wagner is just there taking up space on the NXT roster, but here we are. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that matchup?
I mean, I felt like obviously Vaughn would win, and I am glad that they gave Malik some offense. Like they didn't just have him go out like no punk, because I don't think that Malik deserves that. Because I really do enjoy Malik Blade and Idris and their shenanigans that they're always doing, as you say. And then also Vaughn, I think they don't know what to do with him. And I think honestly this is all being set up for Odyssey Jones to kind of get the comeuppance on Vaughn, just from how I'm seeing the perspective, because it seems like it's always Odyssey that's running up to stop Vaughn the last few times. So if this leads to Odyssey getting some more momentum going forward when he beats Vaughn, you know what? By all means, I'm sad that it had to be Malik Blade's sweater that started this. I'm so sad about that sweater.
I wasn't sure why that was the route they went with that, but yeah, I'm just not really on the Ron Wagner train. I can't. I can't. But moving along, we had a segment where Shawn Michaels officially announces all the participants in the Iron Survivor Challenge. So Shawn Michaels did consult with Alundra Blayze, Molly Holly, Road Dogg, and X-PAC to kind of decide the 4 best men and women for the NXT Iron Survivor Challenge. And so for the men, what they have so for the first 4 was JD McDonough, Joe Gacy, Grayson Waller, and Carmelo Hayes. And then next week, we're going to have the 5th place for the men's in a triple threat match to find out who will be the 5th member. And in those matches is Andre Trace, Axion, and Von Wagner. On the women's side, we have Kiana James, Zoey Stark, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade. That are the 4 women that were announced. And next week, to find the 5th woman, will be Wendy Chu, Indy Hartwell, and Fallon Henley. And so I thought it was a nice, way to kind of put. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit surprised that Kiana was put in directly and not in the wild card, because she's still finding her fit in. Indy, for me, made sense that she was in the wild card. But I'm guessing with what they got, they're gonna kind of go with it. But I feel like there's gonna be some, especially with Cora and Roxanne, with the shenanigans that's been happening with them. But I feel like this is going to be some sort. I mean, I don't really care about Ron Wagner in the match, but I mean, I guess if he makes it, I guess. But I feel like with the members on both teams, it's going to be a pretty solid matchups between them. So, what are your thoughts about the segment and the participants for the Iron Survivor Challenge?
I mean, I really don't see much. I don't see much of a problem with it. I think that they picked the really good ones. I think they're all good, but like the ones that I feel like made the most sense in terms of choices. I noticed that they went by a totally different set of rules for the women as they did for the men in picking, because I realized that every girl that was picked for the main were all people who had won matches. Cora and Zoey won last week. Cora beat Wendy, Zoey beat Sol Ruka, and then this week Kiana also won her match, and Roxanne won her match against Indy. So I was like, okay, so you guys went by basically who won matches in the last like 2 weeks, as opposed to the men, where obviously Carmelo lost last week, but it's Carmelo Hayes, so nobody's questioning it. I just noticed that they went by different, rules. But I really, really do like the list. I think Grayson Waller, while in ring, he isn't like, perfect, with like his wins and losses. But his character work, he's got to be one of the best heels right now in WWE, period. I would say that. I would go so far. He's been really good at making people hate him. He's been really good at keeping himself relevant without ever having to really have a title or like, anything like that. So I have to give it to him. He deserves it. And in terms of the wild cards, I want Axiom to win his, and I want Indy to win hers, because I love Indy. I can't let it go. So that's my choices for who to win.
I actually am okay. I do think, again, Indy proven. I like Wendy Trudeau. So, like, I like Fallon as well. I like Wendy True, but I feel like this gives Indy a chance to really show herself. And so I actually hope she gets the 5th spot as well. And I wouldn't be mad with Axion winning. I just don't want to see Ron. Can we not? Can we not? Can we not? So after that, there was a couple of segments. The first one was Lyra Valkyria. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Said she will be arriving to NXT soon. And so I'm like, okay, all right. There was also a segment where Elektra Lopez made fun of Indy Hartwell, and I was just like, I mean, why are you always just here doing shenanigans? Like, what do you do? I mean, this is why I couldn't be a wrestler, because you got one time, and then I'm gonna be like, let's back this up. What do you do here besides be annoying? What do you do to be doing all of this? But I guess, but I feel like maybe this is peppering up Indy to maybe be the 5th person in this thing. Who knows? She might have another title shot against Mandy Rose. And then there was a segment with Alba Fire kind of warning Isla Dawn about testing her, and Isla did do some shenanigans, and so I was like, this clearly messed up the match for Alba, and like didn't even have her a chance to correctly do this. And then my guys, Pretty Deadly, will be having a special Christmas celebration next week. Not sure why next week. Seems a little bit early to have a Christmas celebration, but it's Pretty Deadly, and they can do what I guess they want to do. So what are your thoughts about those segments?
I love Pretty Deadly, so whatever they want to do, it's fine. You don't need a permission slip, guys. Just do it, because you guys are hilarious. Also, they're just so great. One of my favorite tag teams this year. Like, they're so consistent. They really are. And Electro Girl, leave Indy alone, please. That's it.
Yeah, I'm like, sis, where you come from with the why are we here? Like, let's calm that down and bring it down a notch to what you're useful for. Let's not do that, okay? Because she was doing a lot of shenanigans. Final matchup for NXT, which was some women's action with Nikkita Lyons and KC², as Stephanie lovingly calls them, versus Toxic Attraction. And so, as we know, Zoey Stark did go after Nikkita, went for the right knee, and she was cleared to compete. Though there was a couple of moments that I was she just wasn't it wasn't hitting it for me. Mandy surprisingly after even I think this week she hit a milestone. I believe she's now held the title for over 400 days. And while I had my thoughts about it, I respect that she's had it for so long, even with some shenanigans, but she has it. And so this was a pretty solid matchup. I did like it, but I was really surprised that Mandy didn't really do too much in this matchup. I'm sorry, I totally forgot to like show the pictures. Let's do that, guys. Totally slacking today. Normally, I'm just controlling the pictures. But yeah, I thought it was a really good work. But there was a moment when Nikkita, like, I guess this was supposed to be her selling the knee injury, and she like kicked into like the air of like nothing, and then she fell. And I was highly agitated by that, because I'm like, sis, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How is this not a good, like, I don't know if people believe that was a good sell, but I didn't, because I'm like, I think there was like a thing where somebody said on like about she was fighting John Cena, and I laughed because yes, that's exactly what it, like, who was there that it wasn't even a good sell personally. And this is what I mean. I said Nikkita got to tune it up a bit, because sis, I was like, what are you kicking? I was like, when kids do weird things and it's not really that impressive, but they'd be like, Mom, look what I can do, and it's pure nonsense, but you're like, yay for you, and you try to be a good supportive mom. That's what I got from that. Like, she was just saying, look what I can do. And I don't know, like, which, like Stuart from Mad TV, when he was like, look what I can do, and he did a little, and it was absolutely nonsense. That's kind of what I felt like she was doing. It was really, I was just like, what do we do? What is this? And so I'm gonna need her to get the selling together, because I was highly agitated. But Gigi and JC hit the hit low combination. They did win the matchup, and Toxic Attraction walked out NXT are the winners. But just I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what Nikkita was doing. But what were your thoughts about the main event?
So what I will say is, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think that Kaden and Katana are so, they know how to keep a match going. Like, they're so, athletic and just lively and interactive. So I just love them as a team, and I can't wait to see how they are. I know I'm jumping the gun, but I can't wait to see how they are on the main roster. To be honest, I think they'll be a hit, me personally. And shout out to Toxic Attraction and Gigi getting a pin. I feel like it's not few and far between when they give my girl a pin, or she's just taking the pins, and I'm sick of it. So I was happy she was fine. Like, get that pin, girl, because they playing with you. But yep, I enjoyed the match for what it was. Nikkita, girl, the spinning, because that what you was spinning in the wind. I don't know what that was. Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, sis, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. But I'm hoping she, like, somebody get her backstage and be like, Sheikah, Nikkita, let's not do this. Something. Because she's starting to get my last nerve with like doing these shenanigans, and people keep just hyping her up. And I'm like, y'all not see what I'm seeing? Like, she needs some work. Okay, I feel like because she has her background that she could really be something if she tuned up some things. I feel like she should not have been pushed as hard as she was. Just because the online fans was like, oh my God, she has hips or whatever, is why, yeah, don't be pushing her for that. That's not a good reason to push anybody if they can't get it together. And so, yeah. But that is how we ended NXT. I thought it was a pretty solid episode. I'm actually really hyped for Deadline. I'm like really hyped up for the matches. I want to see what's going to happen next week. Should be really entertaining as we're getting the 5th members of these Iron Survivor Challenge matches. So you tell everybody what you got going on and where they can find you and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, you guys can find me on Unpopular Review. I do reviews for Tuesday and for Wednesday. Tuesday is at 10, directly after NXT, and Wednesday is 9:30, directly after the challenge. Got to get my reality show fix in, You can catch me at Shay Sawyer _ on most of the platforms, and I also have the Big Pop Theory podcast that has a new episode every Monday. So definitely check that out. And be awesome. Yeah.
See, Wilson, you be knowing, because I feel like that's why she's hyped up. Because people think she's pretty. I'm not saying she is. She's not ugly. She's has a nice face. It's just like I just need them to stop. Like, get her. She needs to go. She better go get the Trish Stratus treatment and go talk to Finley to get her stuff together. Because Because no, they'll be kicking air. They'll be like the Twitter said, let's not. I think it was Public Enemies. It might have been Public Enemies. Let's not fight John Cena. Okay, let's not do that. As for me, you can find me on most social media platforms in Cat We Trust, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. The E is a 3. I am trying to work on stuff on my channel. It's been a really hectic couple of months with all this panel stuff. I will be flying out to California tomorrow for Sunday's panel at LA Comic-Con, and got some super awesome. We have our lovely co-host Stephanie. We have TK, who is CEO of Women's Wrestling Talk, but we also have Viva Van, 5-belt champion. We have Rain Cruz, who did the SummerSlam Big E match last year, which was pretty solid. Kid Bandit, a trans woman, and Jin Savani, who also debuted with Rain at the same day, I believe, as Rain. And so I didn't think it would, I kept saying I was done with announcements, and announcements. I was like, oh, I got one more. And I felt like, super unorganized, but I will be in LA for the weekend. And so if you are at LA Comic-Con, definitely come and stop by. It'd be super awesome to meet you. And for Women's Wrestling Talk, you can definitely go check out the site at www.talkpod.com. There's lots of articles every day from all our lovely writers, and edited by our lovely Joanne Santana. We also have shows pretty much every day. Okay, there's Monday Night Raw, there is the Impact, there's the NXT show, AEW Dynamite, SmackDown, and we even have some Turnbuckle Glam, as well as Wow Wrestling on. So we have everything like every day pretty much. And so definitely go check out the YouTube and Twitch and subscribe and all that good stuff. And until next time, guys, next week we'll be back to our regular scheduled time. Like I said, it's just been a crazy week because busy. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us on an earlier time, and we love you guys. Bye.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.